People can't live without light. And there's a world of difference between the warm light of the sun and the half-light of the underworld. Most religions have understood this, and the metaphor of light is at the heart of a lot of religious language. It points to the gulf between being blind and seeing things as they really are, between stumbling in the dark and having true insight. Someone who's experienced the way the light changes things is Nooroa Kippenberger. She's a member of Sukyo Mahikari, a community that believes in the power of light to purify and heal. Nooroa is no stranger to different religions. Her mother would always open the door to someone who claimed to be able to shed light on spiritual truth.
Because she didn't speak very good English, she used to just let anyone come in the door that was knocking and preaching God. And so as a consequence, we had Mormons and Jehovah's Witnesses, and anyone else that came knocking at the door, Mum would just let them in, and we'd read the scriptures together. So it was quite a big part of my growing up when Mum was alive. She passed away 2 days before my 16th birthday.
So the death of a parent changes things.
Yes.
How did it change your life?
I sort of lost my faith from then on, because I thought to myself, well, how could God take someone away that was so into her faith and into God? And it sort of threw me a bit. Yeah, so sort of gradually after that, I sort of lost that faith in God. And the whole family sort of stopped, if you like, because she was like the rock of the family and she kept us all together. And so slowly things sort of fell apart in terms of the family, unit.
Right.
So I basically sort of drifted away. Well, I actually got asked to leave home by my older sister.
Right.
And so I did. I didn't even ask my dad, who was in hospital at the time, so I just went. But I was picked up by two very nice gay guys who took me into their home in Mount Eden and basically looked after me and made sure I went to school.
Fantastic.
Set my school fee.
Did you know them before?
Oh yeah, I knew them before. I knew them, not long knowing them, but...
So they were like your parents there?
Yeah, they took me in and helped me.
Right. But you didn't stay in Auckland?
No, I moved from Auckland went to Wellington. My sister had moved to Wellington and she was sort of right into the sort of nightclub scene, the striptease clubs.
We're talking the 1970s here?
Yeah, so I came to Wellington and I stayed with her. And she was going out with a guy who was a bit of a druggie. Right. Nice guy, lovely guy, and from Auckland, and I actually moved in with them. It was exciting for me because it was all new, and it was like I was meeting all these people that were really sort of out there, and like the drag scene, the drag queen scene, and the nightclub scene. All that was pretty sort of exciting for a 16, 17-year-old. Yeah. And I ended up working in the Purple Onion. Right. With my sister. And then she moved on from the Purple Onion and went and worked for Carmen at Carmen's Balcony. And then eventually I went and worked at Carmen's Balcony. And
so what sort of work were you doing?
Striptease dancing. Yeah. That was exciting because I've always loved dance and I've always loved music, and I've always wanted to do something to do with dance and music.
Did you get caught up in the drug scene alongside that?
Yep, I did. I'd already been introduced to marijuana in Auckland when I was about 14. But when I got to Wellington, I met a guy and he introduced me to what they call tasting in those days. Right. So it's like the opium and the heroin and whatever was going, and if there wasn't any heroin or opium, it was cough mixture.
How did you get out alive?
Well, I met this guy and who became my future husband and father of my children. He lived with a house full of junkies too, but he wasn't one himself. And I met him, and basically over time he basically pulled me out of the mire. And and then I just went on a totally different journey. And we ended up getting married. We built a house here in Wellington, brought up our children. I mean, I wasn't perfect. Sure. I mean, but yeah, everything changed from like being in the drug scene and all that scene in Wellington to be able to go to suburbia. We actually lived with my mother and father-in-law. In fact, they built the house for us.
Wow.
They subdivided their section so that they
wonderful.
provide. Yeah, it was wonderful. So we were very blessed and very, we were very lucky for a young couple in early 20s to be able to have a home to bring up the children. Bringing your children up with your grandparents is is awesome. Because I didn't have that myself, but I wish I had. They put up with a lot with me because I wasn't exactly the easiest person to live with because I came from a different culture. I wasn't used to like actually living with Pākehā people.
At a certain point, you got involved with the whole sort of new gym scene.
Yes. Well, Les Mills World of Fitness launched their aerobics program in Wellington at the Majestic Theatre.
Right.
And there was about 300 people in that theatre. And I decided to go along and try it out to see what all the hype was all about.
Because there was lots of hype about it.
There was a lot of hype about it, and I thought, oh yeah, I'll go along. And I absolutely loved it. I just thought it was, wow, this is cool, because it's sort of a bit of dance and music, and it was sort of the latest music that was going at the time, and with all the people there, and this woman that was taking the class, she was just awesome, and I just thought to myself, I'm going to be like that.
Right. You're going to be the one at the front, leading everybody. Yeah, I'm going to be like her. That's what I want to do. Yeah. And then they started running classes in Porirua, so I was going like 4 or 5 times a week. Right. You really were a convert.
Yes, and I think it was because it was a release for me, because I was at home with my kids 24/7. It was like I realised I needed something for myself.
Right.
And so that was my outlet, basically. Eventually what happened was Les Mills franchised out the aerobics program, and so I was offered the program to run from Pukerua Bay to Karori.
Right.
So I took on that franchise, which meant I didn't have to actually teach all the classes, but all the existing instructors, I sort of had to manage them and manage the classes. I actually realised that I was quite competitive, like during that time in the aerobics scene. I got pulled in to do an aerobic competition. They did the very first aerobic competition in New Zealand in 1986. And we won the competition, the regionals and the nationals, and we won it the following year as well. Steps tempo, number 3. Out. I took up martial arts in 1989, and I was blown away. First session, I just thought, yeah, this is for me. And so I've been practicing Shaolin tempo.
Right.
This encompasses like weaponry, internal martial arts like the Tai Chi and Qigong. So it sort of encompasses all martial arts.
Right. When did you get into Sukyo Mahikari?
I heard about Sukyo Mahikari from my niece, who actually introduced me to the light. We have quite a strong spiritual bond, if you like.
The two of you, yeah.
And so she rang me and told me about this.
So she discovered and she was excited.
Yeah, she was excited, and she rang me up straight away and she said, Auntie, you've got to go. You've got to go to this place, because she said it'll be right up your alley.
Because of the Japanese connection, she thought it'd be up your alley, or?
Yeah, or because I did martial arts, she sort of, but also because of what she got out of it.
Right.
We radiate light through the palm of our hand.
Right.
And the only way we can radiate true light is by wearing this pendant, which is called an omitama. And now the omitama is prepared in Japan by our spiritual leader, Shini-sama. And basically that's how we radiate the light of God.
So when your niece gave you the light, did it have an effect on you?
It did.
Yeah.
I didn't know what it was at first, but I did feel something just connected with me straight
Right.
away.
Okay.
And I can't sort of explain it, but when she gave me a full session of light is 50 minutes. 7 to 10 minutes on the forehead, which is your main soul, and then we give light to the rest of the body.
Okay.
And there's main points on the body that we give light to. But some people might want to receive light on a certain part, but it's 50 minutes for a full session. I just felt an overwhelming calm, but something happened inside of me, it's hard to explain, and I was sort of hooked.
So you started going regularly to the centre.
Every day.
Right, every day.
Yeah.
And then signed up for a training course.
Yeah, there was a course happening sort of in 2001, so I applied to do the course. I didn't know how I was going to pay for it, but...
Right, so what, I was going to say, if you're going every day, is there a cost factor?
Yeah, there's a cost factor, and it's set in Japan, and then whatever the exchange rate is at the time is what you
end up paying.
We don't look at it as a payment as such, we look at it as an offering.
Right.
It's an offering of being permitted to radiate God's light, to receive the pendant, to receive the teaching. It's like a spiritual training, and you're sitting there for 3 days listening to the teachings from God that have been passed down through our spiritual leader, Sukyo.
So you got absorbed into this really quickly. It wasn't a burden for you to have to do the course.
No. I mean, I was just blown away just by the whole concept because I understood it. It made me understand a lot about my life and the things that I'd gone through in the past, the things that had happened to my family and just the people around me, you know. It just gave me a better understanding about life. There's 3 aspects to the universe and human beings. There's the spiritual, there's the mental, which is our thinking, our thoughts, and then there's the physical, it's what you can see. Well, when we give the light of God, we're actually purifying the spiritual cells of the body.
Sukyo Mahikari omikami mamori tamae saki hai tamae kahunagara tamehi chihaimase.
It sounds Japanese, but it's actually an ancient divine language.
Right.
Yeah, even the Japanese don't understand it.
Right.
It sounds Japanese, but it's all about the spiritual vibrations of the sounds.
Right.
You know, like we have spiritual vibrations of sound, you have the spiritual vibrations of colour.
Why has Japan got a special place in all of this?
Well, my understanding is that we were one big continent, you know, the continent of Mu.
When you say we, the whole of the...
The whole of the
Earth.
Yeah, the Earth. Before we branched out into different countries,
Right.
we were one big continent. And where Japan is situated now is like on the brim of the continent, and it's the only one other than certain parts of the Pacific that are existing on the planet now. So that's why they call Japan the origin of the land of spirit. When I first went to Japan, it was like going home. It felt like I was home, and a lot of people that I've spoken to that have gone there, and these are even people that aren't even in our organisation that are actually Buddhists or belong to other faiths, they're all going there now too because they realise that this is the world shrine that's been enshrined for the Creator God, and it's the only place on earth where the Creator God is enshrined, is in Takayama City.
So tell me about Sukyo Mahikari. How did it begin?
Well, it began with our founder, Sukyo, or Kotama Okada was his name. And he was in a coma for about 5 days. And on the 5th day of his coma, he actually heard a voice from God. and God was guiding him about the light. In a nutshell, I mean, I could go into detail,
sure.
but in a nutshell, he basically said, rise okara and raise your hand.
Right.
And it was when he got those revelations from the Creator God, that's how the organisation started.
So this was following the Second World War in Japan?
1959.
1959.
Was when he first got his first revelation.
Well after the...
Yeah.
Kukubi Jusso Gen Gen Shikai
We are very grateful for the fact that he's set this organisation up, because if it wasn't for him, and God of course, we wouldn't be able to radiate God's light.
So does he have a special status? I mean, is in the way that perhaps Jesus might in the Christian tradition?
Yeah, well, he was just another messenger like Jesus and Gautama Buddha.
Right.
He was like the next coming for the 21st century, basically.
So he stands in that tradition of prophets, if you like. Okay.
Yeah.
So do you have special reverence for him?
We do, because and we celebrate his Ascension Day when he went and joined the spirit world.
And he didn't die, he ascended.
Well, we all ascend. We ascend into the next realm, or the spiritual realm. So basically he ascended into the spiritual realm in 1974.
Okay. What's the spiritual realm?
Well, like the spiritual realm is what we can't see. It's the afterlife, if you like, or the next life is probably the best way to explain it.
So will those in the spiritual realm be reborn into this world, or are they freed from
reincarnation?
This world? They will be reincarnated.
Yeah.
Will he be reincarnated?
My understanding, anyway, is that he has become a Holy Spirit.
Right.
Yeah, so he's in that divine realm.
Right.
In the divine world.
Let us pray that we will be allowed to renew our enthusiasm to establish a spiritual civilization and forge on with our work of nurturing 10,000 God-centered leaders who can promote the divine plan.
What are the other, if you like, basic principles?
Giving salvation to others, like human beings, other humans.
And is that through the light?
Yeah, through the light. So basically, spiritually, cleansing or purifying the spiritual cells is what we mean by when you radiate the light, you purify the spiritual cells of the human beings or the environment, because we do all out in the environment as well. New Year's morning, we went up to Mount Victoria and we gave light 360 degrees around the whole of Wellington. And basically with that, we were actually purifying the environment. We're basically praying for, that we can have a productive year, that we're able to sort of spread the light and all that sort of stuff.
Thank you for allowing us to offer these prayers as a sign of our sincere wish to God to want to really spread the light and teachings throughout this land so as to contribute towards creation of a heavenly civilization. We thank you for the guidance from the Holy Masters, Skuri-sama, Ushine-sama, and Odairi-sama that we are receiving daily. Thank you very much.
Who is God for Sukyo Mahikari?
God is the creator God of heaven and earth, and we call him Su-God, or Mioya Motosu Mahikari Omikami-sama, is the name that was given to Skuni-sama when he received revelations. That was the true name of the creator God.
So is this the same creator God of Islam and Christianity? And...
Well, we believe there's only one God.
Right.
Whether you call him Jehovah or Yahweh or whatever. Yeah.
God allowed human beings to use medicine on a temporary basis. He did this for profound reasons, but they were kept secret. Unfortunately, people today have exceeded the limits that God intended. People have used medicine to make money. Furthermore, they have used medicine simply to avoid pain. This desire is unrighteous in the eyes of God.
God created us to have our own cleansing phenomena. So we have ears, and we have these different canals in the body where we can cleanse naturally. Like, for instance, when you have a cough or you have the cold, everyone thinks they're sick. But it's actually God's way of cleaning you up.
Getting stuff out of me.
Yeah, getting the mucus out of your lungs. Or, I mean, we put so much rubbish into our bodies on a daily basis. We breathe it, you know, just from the atmosphere. So it has to come out somehow. So God's designed us in such an intricate way that we actually self-clean even through the pores in our skin, like when we perspire. That's getting rid of the toxins out of your body. So in that sense, we call that cleansing.
So you're saying in a way that some of the things that I might think of as a disease are in fact a positive thing.
Yes, and that's the way we look at it in Sukyo Mahikari.
Right.
We look at things, I mean, I haven't had a painkiller since I've been in the organisation.
Right.
When I get a headache, it's like, it's just stirring up stuff in your head, like toxins in your head.
Right.
When you have a bleeding nose, it's toxic blood coming out of your brain. So we look at all, I mean, because I used to have lots of bleeding noses, and so did my son. And, you know, of course, immediately you want to stop it. But in Mahikari we go, bring it on. And we promote the cleansing so that the body can clean out.
Any other kind of cleansing?
Financial cleansing?
Yeah, tell me about that. I need all the help I can get.
Well, I've had lots of financial cleansing in my, you know,
What does that mean?
I suppose one way of looking at it is like getting a parking ticket.
Yeah.
Like you might go and you get lumbered with a $40 fine for parking in the wrong place. We look at that as a financial cleansing. And what I mean by that is that, you know, we've got lots of past financial karma where maybe we've misused money or whatever, financial karma.
Right.
So we're compensating for it.
It's a kind of rebalancing.
Yeah.
Kind of divine income tax.
Yeah. Or if you get burgled.
Okay.
Burglary. Someone comes and burgles your house, you probably did it to them in a past life.
Right. So karma and reincarnation are big players in this, in understanding.
Yes, definitely. Yep. So we reincarnate every 300 years.
Yeah. Every
200 to 300 years.
And that's ongoing until finally you're released into the divine realm? Or?
Yes. Till you become a divine being, which is what I'm striving to be.
Good idea.
Taking a long time. Glory be to your holy name, Sukyo. Good morning. Thank you so much for this precious new day, for all the wonderful arrangements, guidance and protection permitted throughout the night. Offer sincere gratitude for all that you do for us, Sukyo. I'd like to offer prayers of sincere apologies on behalf of all humankind for the common sin of concealing the principal deities behind the rock door of heaven. We humbly apologise that we've allowed ourselves to become so contaminated physically, mentally and spiritually. I get up every morning, I offer prayers, and usually it's just along the lines, always offering apology on behalf of all humankind for all the suffering that we've caused other people and suffering that I may have caused others. Offer prayers for whatever's going on in my life for that day. If I'm having a meeting, I'll pray that the meeting will go well. And we have a holy prayer. I recite that holy prayer, and then after the holy prayer, we have 10 points for practice to become a God-centred person. The holy prayer and 10 points for practice to become a God-centred person. Now that Sukyo Mahikari has entered the third stage of its development, let us pray that we will be allowed to strengthen our unity with God and our spiritual masters. It's almost like the new 10 Commandments.
Okay.
And I recite that every day. And then after that, I purify my house and the surrounding areas by radiating light through my house and where I live out into the environment. So I offer a prayer to God that for the protection, safety and protection of my home and surrounding areas throughout that day. Probably the 3 great virtues that we try to practice is gratitude, and that's like gratitude for everything morning and night, even down to like the water that comes out of the shower, or everything, just being grateful for our food. I'm always grateful for just being able to open my eyes in the morning and breathe. So gratitude, humility, that's a hard one. That's the practice I'm trying to do at the moment.
This is in the light of your ego.
Humility and acceptance. Being accepting of other people, different personalities, and most of all, just being accepting of the will of God.
And does that mean also acceptance of your past, with where your past life has led?
Yes, being accepting of past karma and just moving on. Yeah.
Because if you look back to those kind of dark, strange days as a teenager and striptease dancer and encountering hard drugs, what do you make of all that now?
I guess it was a part of my life that I had to go through to learn about who I am today. If I hadn't have gone through all those things, I probably wouldn't be able to help other people that are in the same situation in my role in society now. Right, preparation form, 1, 2, sink, swallow, dips its wings in the water. Now come up, lift your left heel, step out as you bring the hands in. Good, and again.
What are your plans coming up?
My plan is to move back to the Cook Islands in about a year's time. I was going to go like next month, but obviously God's got other plans for me. But yeah, I'm going to go back to the Cook Islands and take the light to the Cook Islands and build a centre there where we can have light. Also a bit of the physical and the mental aspect through my skills that I've learnt through the fitness industry, martial arts, Tai Chi, exercise to music, just have the whole shebang in one.
Right.
Yeah, plus probably lodgings as well so that people can come and there's somewhere to stay.
Fantastic.
Yeah, but be able to offer the light, that'll be the main goal for me, is to actually spread the light, but in the islands.
This program was made with funding from New Zealand On Air.